A CBS News investigation has been tracking possible carbon monoxide leaks in Ford Explorers around the country. Now we've learned that Ford may be closer to a major recall. 1.3 million Explorers are under federal investigation. The problem got national attention after this 2015 video showed a California cop crashing his Explorer into a tree. The officer had passed out, and he said carbon monoxide was to blame. Now Ford engineers are inspecting police cruisers in Auburn, Massachusetts. This comes after an officer passed out and rear-ended another car. He is among 6 who have been treated for carbon monoxide exposure recently. Another town in Maryland is also inspecting more than 100 of their Explorers. Kris Van Cleave has more.
We instantly saw the danger that
Mechanics in Montgomery County, Maryland are finding cracked manifolds in their Ford Explorers so often.
We believe this is a manufacturer's defect.
That David Dyes, who oversees fleet maintenance for the county, believes the problem could be affecting up to 80% of the fleet. Most are police cruisers. The exhaust manifold collects gases from an engine's cylinders. A crack could release carbon monoxide into the engine bay and through the vents of a vehicle's cabin.
If you're running your air conditioning or your vent system, that's the air that's coming through the engine compartment. So you are sucking carbon monoxide into the cabin if you have that kind of a leak.
While Ford engineers are not convinced the cracked manifolds are causing the exhaust complaints, the cracks are common enough to prompt Ford to actively consider a potentially costly recall. There are an estimated 135,000 Explorer police cruisers on the road today. Police departments in more than a dozen states have raised concerns about possible carbon monoxide leaks. Ford has declined multiple requests for an interview, but did release this video statement.
There's nothing that we take more seriously than providing you with the safest, most reliable vehicles to support your life-saving work.
In February, we were first to show you this frightening 2015 crash in California. The police officer driving passed out. He believes it was carbon monoxide and is now suing Ford. Following more than 2,700 complaints, federal regulators last week expanded their investigation to cover model years 2011 to 2017, saying preliminary testing suggests CO levels may be elevated in certain driving scenarios.
They live in these cruisers for 8 hours at a time, maybe longer.
In Auburn, Massachusetts, a third of the town's cruisers are out of service. The local Police Chiefs Association tells CBS News at least 15 police agencies in that state alone have sidelined Ford Explorers and are awaiting a solution from Ford, adding the concern among Massachusetts police chiefs is exceptionally high.
And Kris Van Cleave joins us now from Washington, D.C. This is really concerning, Kris. Officers spend a lot of time in their vehicles. What exactly will happen if there is a recall?
Well, first, no final decision has been made on if there will be a recall. If there is one, then those Ford Explorers that are subject to the recall, the police interceptors or whatever portion of the police interceptors, will need to be taken in and have the manifolds replaced. And mechanics in Montgomery County were telling us each of their police interceptor Explorers have 2 exhaust manifolds, and it's about a $800 manifold operation plus time. So it is an expensive, potentially expensive recall for Ford, and also a time-consuming one to go through and do that. So if there is a recall, those vehicles will need to be brought into dealers and have the potentially defective part replaced.
So are we hearing anything, though, about this problem showing up with just regular people who have Ford Explorers? They're not police officers. They just drive to and from work.
We are hearing that. We have heard both from the Austin Police Department and from the Montgomery County Police that when they have been going through their Explorers, some are the police interceptor model of the Explorer and some are standard civilian Explorers, that they have found cracks in both the police interceptors and the civilian version of the Explorer. So it is possible that there are issues with the manifolds in both. At this point, NHTSA has only identified, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has only identified the cracking as a pattern in the police interceptors, and that's part of what's driving this. But pretty much every department we have talked to at length about this that have done inspections have found some of those cracked manifolds in their vehicles. And, you know, the bulk of the complaints against Ford for the exhaust fumes issue that's being investigated are coming from civilians, not from police. So there certainly could be a wider spread issue here. We should tell you Ford has been in touch today saying that they so far have no evidence that links the manifold cracks with carbon monoxide in the cabin, but they are continuing to investigate that. Ford is also working with police agencies across the country now to address these problems.
You know, it's pretty scary. Often you don't know you're being exposed to carbon monoxide until it's too late. In the meantime, who knows what sort of damage is being done. Kris Van Cleave in Washington, thank you so much for your reporting, Kris.
Sure thing.